science doesn't exist within a vacuum, right? It's connected to human rights, it's connected to environmental rights. And so if environmental rights activists and human rights activists aren't talking to scientists, then we're missing a great opportunity for advancing those kinds of rights.
It is the scientists who have the numbers. They crunch the numbers, they see the trends, they do the analysis, they do the visualization. They have an idea of where the rest of the world is going with reference to what impact human activities are having on the planet, on human beings themselves. Activists move more from the passion. They move more from their gut feelings. But a lot of them also move more from an evidentiary process. So my advice to anyone would be to be patient, to be open-minded, to be more engaging, and to always try to seek win-win solutions. All of us don't have all of the answers. And people are different, people come from different perspectives. There's a lot that human rights activists and lawyers can learn from scientists. There's a lot that scientists can learn from human rights activists. We bring different perspectives to the table.
The work I've done with eTech is working at the request of communities, largely indigenous communities, and they are bringing a concern to us and asking us to kind of help them understand it in a scientific way. But at the same time, they have a lot of knowledge about the community, how the ecosystems work there, which is commonly referred to as traditional ecological knowledge. So it's an exchange, it's a back and forth. And we learn from them, and then we become, in a sense, their advocates to the government and industry. Our work in the Amazon in northern Peru, where we and others worked with indigenous communities to help them do environmental monitoring to show that there have been adverse effects from oil pollution that's been going on there for at least 40 years. It started with complaints from the community, but working with them and kind of giving them the power to do this themselves provided information that we all kind of took to the government of Peru, and it resulted in the government declaring the first ever environmental emergency in the country of Peru. So as a result of that, certain cleanup measures were required.
From my point of view as a human rights practitioner, I really understood that there are simple solutions out there from a technical point of view that we can use to simply improve the daily work of drones on a conflict zone. And you need certainly somebody that has the technical knowledge, a scientist and engineer, but also because you want to try to leverage the potential of the drones. Drones for good are drones that are very useful for international criminal investigation, then violation of human rights, international humanitarian law, and also to keep, let's say, panel leaders, political leaders, understanding what's the situation on the ground, the current status of conflict on the ground.
First, I always try to reflect on the history between human rights and science. It hasn't always been a great history. I think about things like eugenics and psychology's exploitation of marginalized communities in experiments. Those were not done right, but I do believe there's quite a bit of potential for science to advance human rights. And I think if anyone is interested in taking up that very, very, important but challenging goal, I think they need to do it within a community. I don't think there's a place for single-person crusades. I think it's important to surround oneself with like-minded individuals and work towards a collective goal. I think we can all learn from each other, and I think that we can find strength in one another.